Today I'm going to be taking apart an Halcyon Gold edition of this light, and we are going to be replacing the Gobo inside. This process is fairly simple, and I start by removing the top cover. There are two screws, one on each side, that simply twist out. They don't come out all the way, they are locking screws. Once it is free, you take off the body, you take off the top shell. Once you get here, there's a clip. There's a clip on this side. The safety clip needs to come off. You then can set this piece aside. After that, there are brackets on each side. This is your effects assembly. This is the part where all the Gobos are housed. You have the shutter assembly and all the light stuff. Then you have the Gobos here. This is the fan in the back. You start by taking off these pieces of the bracket. There is a screw. There are two screws on each side. Notice how they are shifted over the edge of this metal bar so that it holds the effects engine in place. It is also very important as you do this process to make sure your similar screws stay with your similar sides. You can mix them up technically, but they are painted so you can tell if they're loosening on their own or not. Once you get those two brackets out, you then have the effects assembly. There's a clip right here that holds the fan engine. There's a tab on the front that you push and then you pull up. This should come out fairly easily. Then that piece pops out. On this side, you can see there are three sets here. You remove the middle set from each one. The middle set attaches to an outside source. Make sure you do not tug on the wires, as the wires will end up fraying. Always try to hold onto only the plastic. The bottom one has a clip on top, similar to the one on the inside. You lift that latch, and you pull out, and it should come off. Now that you have unplugged those three, you will end up taking this assembly out of the top. It should slide straight up and out. This is what the assembly looks like. You have got all the Gobos here. Now, you take this and you set it on the table gently, attempting to not smudge any of the lights here. These, if you smudge them, you will have to take them out later to fix. Now, you have to be very careful here. There are dots on the panel and there are dots on these circles. Each one of these dots needs to line up as close as possible. Once it is lined up, you find the Gobo you want to replace. In this case, I want to replace this one. You end up holding this in place. You grab on. You end up pulling up and out, away. And then it comes off like this. You can see the assembly in and of itself. It is made up of two components. You have a tension spring inside of the ring, which you need to remove, and then you have the Gobo itself. To remove the tension spring, we come over here, and when you take some form of a small tool, you should not scratch the glass here. It can be very dangerous to scratch the glass. You could, including, ruin the Gobo itself. I like to take an end like this, and you go underneath the edge. There is one edge that sticks out a little bit, and you take this clip and you get under the edge. It may take a few tries, and you may sometimes even need to use a more pointier object. Also, be careful. Sometimes these things will fly out on you, and they will end up all over the place, sometimes on the floor, or in other spots where it is questionable if you will be able to retrieve them. They also sometimes like to fight. They do not like to come out, as they are there to keep the Gobo in place. You will see this one is being a little bit more challenging than the one that I had done previously. It may also sometimes take a combination of tools in order to pop this out. As you can see, it is now popped out. You take it out gently. This is the tension screw. That sits in there to hold it in place. Very important note when you're removing the Gobos. Do not smudge them with your fingers. They will smudge very easily. Simply, once that tension spring is out, it drops out. You can see there are two sides. There's a black side and a shiny silver side. The black side always goes up in the container. So you can see the container. The tension spring should be against the silver side. The black side, when you slide it in, should be the side facing up. In this case, you look at it, make sure there are no fingerprints on the Gobo itself. Then, you drop it into place. Once it is dropped into place, you ensure that it sits flush right inside of the container. When it is flush, you will know because it will sit flat. Then, you take this tension spring back, and this tension spring then goes right back in place. You simply thread the side that is a little bit thicker and has this tiny piece on the end of it. You thread that side in first, and then you take the other side and you push it in. Sometimes you may need another hand to help. Once it seems to start getting in there, you will then need to take some sort of an instrument and push around the edge. This is not fully sat yet, so when you push it down, you will be able to tell when it sits in place because you will hear a snap like that. You can see it sits flush inside. Now there is a small smudge, and I will clean that smudge off because it can cause problems with later on. Check it again, make sure it is not smudged. Then, once we have completed that, you can see the black side is up, the silver side is down. Then we take it back over here. Again, following the same process, we need to line up the dots with the dots. So as you can see, there's a dot here, and you see the dot there. You slide it in underneath the spring side, and then line it up, and you will hear it pop down into place. Once it is popped into place, you're all set. Now, in order to do this, we go back and we do the process in reverse. Be very careful when moving the assembly. You pick up the assembly, you can see all the components. Make sure that the fan side is in the back, the fan plug and the other plugs. The Gobo side itself always faces towards the front of the light. There are sets of grooves within the body in which these line up in. You will see that when I slide it in, it will fall into those lines and will land in place. Now, next, you reverse the process. You start over here, taking your black component, and you plug it in. Then you take the red component, and you plug it in. Then, you have that fan component again, up here in the top, which you take and pop back into place. Once that is done, you now take those brackets that you had. You will see that there is one edge which is longer and one edge which is smaller. You then set it over, making sure that it does not line like this because this will come out. The assembly itself will still slide. You make sure it is slotted all the way to the left, so then this assembly, when it is in place, will not be able to slide. You then put all the screws back into place. Be very careful during this process because there have been instances where a screw has fallen into the light. That can sometimes be a problem, sometimes not. But If it goes far enough into the light, you will not be able to retrieve it, and you could also cause damage to the light itself. So be very cautious. On the other side, you do the same process. Take the bracket, and we place it in. We then screw into place each screw. Remember to always be patient with these screws as well, because the more it gets frustrated, the more that it is likely to fall into the light itself. Often the last screw is the most difficult, sometimes even requiring slight shifts in the bracket. Once you get it screwing into place, make sure that all four are tight. If you can ensure that all four are tight, you're good to go to reassemble the top component. Take the lid. You make sure that you take the safety chain in the back, and there's a hole back here. With that hole, take the chain, and you clip it through that hole. That keeps it in place in case something went wrong. Now, you take the covering and you slide it in. You will notice on this side, it did not come over the groove, and so you must take it off and make sure it slots over that space. You should be able to feel all the way around and feel that it is a smooth connection without any rough spots. Once you have completed that, you take your screwdriver back into the top and you tighten the lid back on. And now that the lid is tightened, you do cleanup. You make sure to carefully put your Gobo that you took out into its bag and into its respective box. Once you have done that, you have now completed the assembly and changing of a Gobo for a Halcyon Gold light. Thank you for joining today, and I look forward to more videos soon.